Hey guys, Dissonor Magic here, and you may have noticed that this is not a Magic the Gathering related video. It's about Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies and stuff, but I've been huge in the community going back to like 2010. Just kind of missed out on $10-20 million from selling my Bitcoins at the wrong time. Oops. My bad. But this is still Magic related because if you make a bunch of money on cryptocurrency trading and mining and stuff, then you can buy more Magic the Gathering cards. That is true. But still, you clicked on the video, you're obviously interested, and I think a lot of people are going to see this even though it's not my channel's topic. So I just thought, I know about the stuff. I'm like OG Bitcoin community, thousands of posts on the forum. I was the original person calling out the douchebag from Butterfly Labs, who I believe has been since arrested. I helped design websites. I helped people fix their rigs. I made like overclocking guides. So, I've been in that scene. It was a huge part of my daily life back then. So now I kind of know what's going on. I got out of it for like 3-4 years while I was running a different business and then got back in because I'm like, hey, I know about this and things are going up. And they did. I just really still sold my coins at the wrong time. Speaking of that, I'm going to help you because people are saying, oh, should I invest in it? How, where, all this? And, that's like a 2-hour-long documentary at this point, especially if I start with what are Bitcoins and why do they have inherent value. So we're just not. I'm just going to keep this real simple. Also, I know that if this was medical advice, I'd have to give this disclaimer. I'm not sure what it is for investing, so I'm just going to say it anyway. I am not an official certified investor, even though I don't think that's a thing. And this is not official investing advice. Like, don't listen to me or whatever. That covers my bases for the FTC. Pretty sure I didn't need to say that, but whatever. Oh, and a bit more sincere of a disclaimer is, you could lose money. This is an investment, and I can't predict the future flawlessly. This is just really good advice. So quite a while ago, I want to say like 2014, Bitcoins went nuts, rose up to like 600, and then just like stayed there for a while. If I recall, this is a while ago. I think it crashed way back down and then went back up. And I do know people who were like, I bought it in at 590 and it's not a loss until I sell it, and literally waited like a year and a half or 2 years or whatever for it to return to about 600-ish. That is dedication, and I love you guys. But now Bitcoins are at about, 17.5, 17.7, something today. I know Blink it'll be a different price, but, it's pretty volatile. So some people are like, oh, let's do like the day trader thing. Let's jump on like GDAX or something and start, trading it, buy, sell, buy low, sell high, whatever. Well, you got to be pretty predictive. And once you're wrong, you better be willing to either take the hit or sit there for a very long time taking no action, okay? It's not quite as easy as you think it is. The general logic right now has been if it's down lower than it used to be, it'll probably go back up. And if it's high, it'll probably fall back down. And that has been consistently pretty true. But if you buy at 16.5 and it falls and it takes a month to return, then you better not need those funds for a month. So how you invest in Bitcoins is determined almost exclusively by when do you need your money back? And also, can you afford to lose it? Bitcoins could crash down to 10K easily and miners wouldn't even blink because they would still be profitable. So that could happen and you could lose a significant portion of your money. It's just extremely unlikely that you'd lose more than, 75%. So it's like you'll always have something remaining unless your funds quite literally get stolen. Because of the current cost of mining electricity on modern hardware, Bitcoins really just can't go lower than, I want to say like $1,000, $1,500, something in that neighborhood. So, okay, that's like losing like 90%, but still. So just risk assessment, do not invest with more than you can afford to lose. It's just, if things really started going south, trading exchanges like GDAX, they let you have like a stop loss kind of thing. I'm sure that's not the real term, just as sure as I'm not a real investor. So here's the thing, okay, everybody's saying, okay, Bitcoin went from like, $1,000 on up to 17 grand in like just like a couple months. So that's cool. That's a pretty good return. Like percentage wise or like multiplier wise, that is a lot of money. So it has an upward trend lately and it's a very, like it almost looks exponential. So if I bought now, maybe it'll go up 5 times, 8 times, 10 times again. No, it won't. I am telling you flat out, it will not do that. No, you missed that train. The train is gone. Not going to happen. The amount of money and interest that's not currently in Bitcoins that would be required to push the price up that high doesn't exist, and it won't exist. Also, there are multiple forces actively working against it. So I guess I'll summarize that. So, right now, just do not buy Bitcoins at all. But there are other alternative cryptocurrencies. There's probably at least like 100. So you've probably heard about, just at least the fact that there are others like Ethereum, Litecoin, that sort of thing. So what's working against Bitcoins? Well, there's a very small amount of people. I just read this in an article. I'm sure I'm going to misquote it. I think it's like 1,000 people own like 80% of all Bitcoins or something. And a lot of them are like super old school originators that just own so much and they haven't sold it off yet. Or they're huge scale Bitcoin miners in China. And I'm not going to get into mining other than, okay, they're getting paid to maintain the network of, Bitcoin transactions and keep it secure. And so they're like compensated with Bitcoins that are spontaneously created. They just sit there and run calculations until they hit a certain target, then seal up the block. All the transactions are permanent, and then they go on to the next block. And a block is made about every 10 minutes. On the block is a database of transactions. So that's just how Bitcoins work. So no matter who it is, they own enough that they could single-handedly, I'd say, manipulate the market, but it's almost like at this point accidentally affect the market. Or, well, okay, I think at this point they know what they're doing if they sold off 10,000 Bitcoins at once. But if they wanted the price to be lower, they could make it be lower. Or if they're just like, I like cash, let's sell off 10,000 Bitcoins. Well, that is $170 million, so I get your point there, but I think they know what that would do to the market, and it would like kill confidence. And so if they're miners, they have an interest in maintaining the money that they're making monthly, so they don't want to devalue Bitcoins. And then if they're super old school, they probably just believe in it, think it's a good thing, and don't want to damage it to that extent, which is why I think we haven't seen anybody just come in and just take a dump on the price. And honestly, I don't think they will. I mean, unless there is some kind of reason, like a panic, like, oh, the United States is about to make it illegal to own Bitcoins. Okay. I feel like that would have an effect on the price, so everybody would just flood the market with sales, and Bitcoins would probably hit like $100 or something just absurdly low. But without an event like that, nobody is really motivated to take that distinctive an action. Now, if they said, I have 10,000 Bitcoins, and I want some cash for it because I want to buy my own country at this point? Island? Hell, aircraft carrier? Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm poor. I wouldn't know. But if you want some money to gold plate your Bugatti, you might sell just enough to cover that, which would be like, I mean, I don't know what it costs to gold plate a Bugatti. I don't know, sell like 10 Bitcoins, whatever. Like that wouldn't even affect the price. I mean, I think I just saw 10 Bitcoins get sold in the last 5 seconds while just watching the GDAX charts. So I don't think that's going to happen. Just realize that it could, and it would be instantaneous and it would be devastating, but somebody would have to be motivated. Now, the other thing working against Bitcoin, like just this week, December 15th, and maybe a couple weeks past, has been the fee structure has went up. So back in the day, you could send somebody like 5 Bitcoin, whatever, which was about $5 a piece back then, so that's reasonable. And it would cost you like a penny in fees or like a couple cents or something, because it was just whatever. There was the suggested fee, and it was basically just a made up thing to keep it cheap. Nobody wanted to just pay 50 cents every time that they have to send somebody $1. That's not very productive. And that worked because, sometimes there was, 50 transactions in a 10-minute block. I mean, I think I saw some that were like 3. These days, I think a block can hold like 4,000 transactions, and there's just more than that. More people want to send Bitcoins more places every 10 minutes than that. Well, and also a block isn't always guaranteed to be solved every 10 minutes. Sometimes it'll take like 40 minutes just due to bad luck. And then there's a lot of transactions piled up and they can't all be processed. So what you can do is you can just outbid somebody else. So you can say, well, my transaction is 192 bytes. And you can fit 1 million bytes into a block. So I'm going to say like about $2. Okay, $2. $2 in fees, equivalent in Bitcoin. And that'll be the processing fee. So I want to send, 1/10 of Bitcoin, but I'm adding in this transaction fee or taking it out of the amount, depending upon, who you're paying and why. Well, a lot of mining systems, pools, nodes, whatever you want to call them, they will basically process and encapsulate the highest bidders because they get to keep the fees. So duh. Now, some nicer ones might do it chronologically so that you don't have a pending transaction take a week to get confirmed. But guess what the average fee is lately? Now, I don't know about average, but I've heard of numbers as high as like $10, $20, $25. And I mean, it's all a scale thing, but that's the thing. It doesn't scale. So if I'm sending $10,000 worth of Bitcoins to an exchange somewhere or somebody or a company, whatever, my own private wallet, yeah, $20, who cares? I mean, it's a lot of money, just like an absolute amount of money, but as a percentage, it's nothing. Now, if I want to send somebody, $10 worth, and this is why Steam stopped taking Bitcoins lately, it's going to cost me $20. So small transactions are just getting drowned. If you say, I want to send somebody $10, okay, I'll tack on 50 cents US worth of fees. It's still 192 bytes. You still require the same amount of size in the block, so you still got to bid for it. So currently, the maximum suggested fee from the Bitcoin Core client is not anywhere near high enough, and the last transaction I sent took like 2.5 days to get confirmed. I don't really know how replace by fee works either, where I can just like tack on more money to it, nor would I. I was just like, okay, I'd rather just wait like a couple days than pay more money because I'm supposed to be making money. I'm mining, remember? So that is bad. I mean, Bitcoin at this point, for certain people and certain tasks, is unusable. Uh-oh. You just said the U word, Des. That's not good. So I get it. It's the popularity that's driving it. So it's kind of like a self-solving problem because it wouldn't be a problem if it was less popular. So if it becomes less popular as a payment system, then the fee will go down because less people will use it, but then it will go back up. So it all comes down to what are the richest, highest players who move the most money willing to pay? And the answer is more than you. So the last time I had to send somebody, a cryptocurrency, a non-US dollar amount, they said send it in Litecoins. There'll be lower fees and it'll get confirmed faster because Litecoins are basically, they were like, I think the second cryptocurrency to be invented after Bitcoin. And I described it as Bitcoin with a lot of stuff fixed. It is an improvement. I'm not wrong. It's not perfect and there are better coins out there, but it is huge and it's not quite the second most expensive, but it's valuable. It has been around for a long time, and there's just less people trading it because everybody thinks Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Because that was the first one. It's the main one. It's the most expensive. It's the most widely supported. Everything. Now, another thing working against Bitcoins, especially like the last 2 weeks, has been the transaction fee. Now, if you want to send money to somebody, you tack on a transaction fee. Now, approximately every 10 minutes, a block is formed, and that contains all the transactions, and it can only hit about, 4,000, 5,000 transactions in it. That's the max that it can store. So what happens when, 10,000 people want to send a Bitcoin transaction in 10 minutes? Well, they have to wait, but what if it's 10,000 every 10 minutes? That just doesn't work. And FYI, they're not processed in chronological order. People will just tack on a higher fee. So they basically bid for space in the block. And I've heard numbers as high as like $20, $25 US dollar equivalent. So I guess if somebody's sending, $10,000 to somebody with Bitcoins, they're like, $20, whatever. I mean, it's a lot of money, absolutely, but percentage-wise, not that bad. So Bitcoin right now is basically unusable as a currency because if you just want to send somebody $5, you basically can't do it. I cannot stress how bad that is, how detrimental it is to Bitcoin's reputation and success and usability and everything. So everybody saw this problem coming even back in like 2009. They said, yeah, this will happen eventually. And they didn't really have a solution back then for it. They did, but it was so stupid, I'm not going to mention it. So if people can't just freely send Bitcoins, they're just going to like sell out of it and use something else. Now, if you take money out of Bitcoin, it's going to go down. That's why I fear that might happen. But you kind of, in that case, would be putting value into something else and kind of holding it there. So if you buy into something and hold it, it's going to put the price up. So if, 10,000 people do it, yeah, the price is going to go nuts. So the last time I had to send currency to somebody, they said, hey, just sell it off for Litecoins on the exchange and send me Litecoins instead. It'll get confirmed faster and the fee will be practically nothing. I thought, oh yeah, that's clever, because the Bitcoin fees are getting outrageous. I mean, I tacked on like $4 as a fee to my $200 deposit to Coinbase, and it took like 2.5 days for it to confirm. It was broadcast through like 8 nodes, but nobody picked it up because whoever forms the block chooses which transactions go in it, and they usually choose just by who bid the highest on down because they get to keep the fees. So if a bunch of people outbid me, my transaction is not going to go through anytime soon. And it actually stands a good chance of getting stuck. So obviously I have explained the problem. What is the solution? Well, the solution is don't invest in Bitcoins. That's the whole point of what I'm saying here. But what are people going to use instead? Because if you can predict that, you can buy into it now and it might go up 500%, like reasonably. Well, as far as practical use, we've got Bitcoin Cash, which is a clone of Bitcoin. It's what they call a fork. It's identical except they changed one little thing. The blocks are 8 times bigger, I believe it was. Instead of 1 meg, they're like 8 megs. And that was the only change. So I think Bitcoin Cash is hovering around $2,000 each right now. So they're worth a little bit less, but, maybe they'll overtake the price of Bitcoins eventually. Nobody knows. Now, it was controversial. Not everybody supports it, so it's got that going against it. Because right now, the database of all transactions, the blockchain itself for main Bitcoins, is like 157 gigabytes. That's a lot. That makes it a little bit harder to use. So making, 8 times the data every 10 minutes, potentially, that's not good. But it did solve the problem. Now, there is an overall downward trend because everybody who owned Bitcoins at the time of the fork, as they call it, when they split, also automatically owns Bitcoin Cash because you can sort of spend your coins in both places. So some people might just say, yeah, they're high, I'm going to sell them off. So that kind of limits the price in the short term, but long term, it would be a good investment. So Litecoins would be my second choice for what to invest in for like short-term to mid-term to even long-term gains. It has a practical, actual, provable use right now. That is good for an investment because, I mean, just think about the amount of information you have for whether Bitcoins will go up and down, which is nothing, basically. Now let's compare that to stocks, okay? Like, Yahoo does something stupid. I'm going to say that because like they just declared bankruptcy and sold themselves. So gee guys, let's imagine Yahoo made a not so smart business acquisition or business decision, or fired their CEO for the 15th time, or like whatever it is. God, I think a bunch of them got arrested or something. Something like that. So, okay, sell their stock. I mean, you know that it was an unpopular decision. You're watching the financial news or just the general news and you're like, oh, look, they acquired this nowhere company that's not going to make them any money. Or, I mean, you're like, okay, let's buy Apple stocks because I just heard that they're acquiring Shazam, which is that, hey, let my smartphone listen to the music and it'll tell me what song is playing thing. And yeah, they're obviously going to say, hey, want to buy this track that you're listening to? iTunes. So that is a distinct, definite way that they're going to definitely make more money. Now, terrible example, Apple's going to be bankrupt in 10 years with their stupid decisions and their garbage products lately. So, you know, don't buy Apple stocks. But in that case, I mean, I would expect maybe a bump in the short term because of that revenue from that. So you have real life information because it's stocks. Do they go up? Do they go down? You can base it on things. You can try to guess at stuff, or you could just follow the news like everybody else. With Bitcoins, you can, follow the news to an extent, but mostly just cross your fingers because nobody has an explanation for why it went up and down. Oh, wait, no, I have the explanation. I have 100% of the explanation. If it went up, it's because some people or person bought a bunch of Bitcoins, and if it went down, it's because some people or a person sold a bunch of Bitcoins. That's it. That's about all you got to go on besides major news events and like Coinbase going offline briefly and everybody got scared. It was a traffic thing, by the way, and the price rebounded instantly. So with a complete and utter lack of information, you can't just cross your fingers and say, boy, I hope it goes up. That's stupid. Okay, that's stupid in the short to midterm because I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but every certain time period, the amount of Bitcoins that are given away every 10 minutes-ish when a block is solved to the people running mining software and hardware is halved. It's cut in half. So it started at 50, it went to 25, and now it's at 12.5, and we're quite a ways away from it splitting again. That's an understatement. 905 days, 22 hours, 9 minutes, and 55 seconds on average. So at that point, it will split from 12.5 to 6.25. So to remain as profitable, the miners will have to basically see Bitcoin double in price. Now, right now, I mean, like 7% of your total income is electricity. So I could see it splitting and then nothing happening to the price. But then again, it's 900 days from now, so who knows? But in the next 50 years, Bitcoin will go up in price. That's how it works. That's a given. So for an extreme long-term investment, not a bad idea. It's just, would I buy in at 17,000 when I know for a fact that people mining and paying the electric bill and buying the hardware can make money at like 1,500? Oh boy. All the splits in the world won't stop a 90% crash, or won't make up for it, I should say. But on the flip side, the more people that get into Bitcoin, I mean, there's only 12.5 Bitcoins being created in the entire world every 10 minutes. So that causes a downward trend because it's kind of like inflation, like more Bitcoins are out there. But if the demand for new Bitcoins, people who want to own them and hold them, exceeds 12.5 every 10 minutes, then the price will go up, which is exactly what's happening right now. But if you just wanted to take your money and leave it in Bitcoins for 10 years, you probably would just do it. You wouldn't even be watching this video. And I would say 10 years, yeah, it's probably a pretty smart idea. I mean, it's not the best long-term investment, but it's pretty good. You guys are probably looking mid to short, and that's what this video is more intended for. So that's why Bitcoins, no. I mean, for Bitcoins to even double, like you're just like, I got $500, I want it to be 1,000. Which to me, that's a lot of money, but to a lot of people, it's not. But I mean, just think about whatever you put in, double it. Doubling isn't that much money because you had that much money available to put in the first place. And if you had that much, chances are you don't necessarily consider that to be a ton of money. If you do, you probably shouldn't be risking it on Bitcoins. But other people are like, oh, it went up like 10x in the last whatever months. Whoa. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, not going to happen, not going to happen. Bitcoins would have to hit like 35,000 to even get a 2-to-1 return, and I just do not see that happening. So to maximize the multiplier, you can either go the penny stock route, which is find some altcoin, as they call it, an alternate cryptocurrency, and buy it at like a penny or a fraction of a penny, like Burst Coin, or like 75 cents, like God, what's 75? Ripple, I think, right now, or Zek? No, Zek. Dude, Zek's like really high. Because I mean, if you bought in at 10 cents and then people are like, oh, this is a cool coin. This actually has a use. I'm going to start using it. And everybody buys it. You could go 50 to 1. I mean, let alone 10 to 1. That's why I compare it to penny stocks. It's a hell of a gamble and it's probably not going anywhere, but you never know. And if it does go somewhere, it's probably manipulation. So now it's exactly like penny stocks. So that's risky as hell. It's just, I mean, you know, how far can you fall if it's 10 cents? I guess it could go down to 8 and you could lose 20% overnight pretty easily, but you know, it is what it is. So I wouldn't exactly make that a high amount of my portfolio. So that's one option. And, you know, I would almost say don't just go with the primary, you know, 3 or 4 or whatever currencies. You know, take a shot, take 10% of your money and throw it into some long shot kind of thing, because you never know. So getting down to that, remember I said Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, those, well, so not Bitcoin. So the other two are pretty good investments because they're just the closest alternative that people are going to start using most likely in the next month to actually functionally send money to each other. And why would they trade it back for Bitcoins after transmitting it when Bitcoins aren't as easy to transport? So the other person might be like, it's got a value. Litecoins have been around forever. Bitcoin Cash been around for, well, a bit. That's cool, I guess. I'll keep that. And then like buying into the system and keeping it, welcome to a price gain. That's what happens. So I keep talking about the problems with Bitcoins and the difficulties, the high fees, the giant wallet, you know, a bunch of stuff that people don't like. Well, a lot of people made a lot of different altcoins and they all have their own little, oh, here's why ours is different. Here's what ours does. Ours involves this. You know, which one should you support? How would you know if it's going to take off or not? I mean, maybe it's trading at $1 and you're like, I don't know, I could pick up 10 of them, you know, because maybe if they hit 1,000, I'd have, you know, $10,000. But there's so many out there, and some of them were quite literally created as jokes. I'm not kidding. Like, look on Bitrex, they're still selling Doge coins or Doge coins, depending upon how you pronounce it. It's not a real word, so pronounce it however you want. Yeah, I'm sitting on the fence on that one, but guess what? I'm right. Some are just complete and utter cash grabs. The people pre-mined like 100,000 coins so that they themselves, the inventors of it, own the vast majority of the coin, so that if it takes off, they can sell it and like just tank the price and pocket the money and run off. And remember, anybody can start a cryptocurrency. Anybody. So I've got 2 more options. Well, we'll just say 3 because one just came up that are more long shots. They're more new, but they're also just straight up Bitcoin with something that people don't like removed or fixed. So that alone makes these good investments, in my opinion. The first is Zek, also known as Zcash, and the mining algorithm is called Equihash. Not only has it been going up quite a bit lately, but I mean, the value of it is pretty nuts right now too. It is currently $491 per Zek coin, or whatever they're calling it. It might be like Zcash coin, Zek, I don't know. Don't have to know, because the big thing about it is, well, I'll let them explain another website, because this is a little bit complicated. The issue with the Bitcoin network is everything's public. So it's anonymous, but it's public. So every transaction, every amount of money sent from one person to another is publicly viewable. So everybody just goes to, so in other words, like people doing illegal stuff want to hide their transaction, but a lot of legit stuff you'd want to hide your transaction to. I mean, how often do you want to broadcast to the whole world what you just spent on your credit card on like Amazon for a purchase? It's nobody's business, just as a principle. So we got Zcash. It says, Bitcoin and most cryptocurrencies expose your entire payment history to the public. Zcash is the first open, permissionless cryptocurrency that can fully protect the privacy of transactions using zero-knowledge cryptography. I vaguely know what that means from a mathematical standpoint, but basically, I think like only you and the sender can verify the amount that was sent, and the encrypted or the other information is like so encrypted and hidden that nobody else can read it. But if you needed to verify that you own something in order to send it to somebody, you could still do that. So for all of you who just fell asleep, basically it's anonymous transactions, so you can send money to somebody else and nobody will know about it. Words cannot describe how inherently valuable that is. Also, it's not as congested as the Bitcoin network right now, and you can actually get transactions sent for pretty cheap. Also, 4 days ago when I was going to buy it and then totally forgot because I was busy at work, it was $300, and now it's $490. Whoops. It was basically a sure bet. I was 100% sure that it was going to go up in the next 6 months, just not in the next 6 days. Well, necessarily. I mean, I'm not exactly surprised. But yeah, I was going to buy it. And like I said, I just got busy at work because, Christmas. And yeah, I didn't. I should just tattoo oops on my forehead when somebody asks, I'll just be like, yeah, I lost like 10 to 20 million in the Bitcoin network, like through multiple Bad timings. Sometimes all you can say is whoopsies. So yeah, ZEC, I mean, 10, 20 years from now, I think it'll skyrocket because it's like I said, it's just inherently valuable. Some people don't want you to know that they sent money to a place. Like if you want to support a Christian group out in China, you probably don't want that to be public and traceable back to you. If you bought something kind of private that you don't want everybody knowing that you bought, but something still like legal, yeah, you'd want to hide the transaction because some people would be like, oh, that came from a wallet that's known to be owned by this person because it could be tied back to this, forum account or this, whatever. So the second one is Siacoin. Now, this one is interesting because I don't 1000% exactly get how it works, but I get the gist of it. At a basic level, it is tied to cloud storage. So they're trying to kill, OneDrive, Dropbox, the Amazon cloud, or I should say specifically Amazon Web Services, AWS, just any kind of cloud storage solution, they want to compete with it. So their blockchain technology will decentralize the file storage, and there's other applications that do this that are completely separate from like the whole Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, everything. But this one, the fact that it uses it and the fact that blockchain technology is virtually perfect, like from a mathematical standpoint, yeah, I mean, I could see it. So the second that they become like the most, respected, cheapest, easiest storage service, I guess you would say, Siacoins are going to go through the roof because it's kind of like a coin on top of the service. I don't really get how it ties in because like, why would you want like 100 terabyte blockchain? But I guess that's like not how it works or something. See, the math of this is just the most fun part, but honestly, you don't have to understand. It's like Siacoin lets people store stuff places. Now, NiceHash, they let people mine Sia. The people who made mining algorithms have adopted Sia as a dual mining type of thing, which I think there's only like 7 options right now for dual mining. I might be wrong though. And I like Bitrex supports them, and it's not that hard to get on Bitrex, but they're picky. They're an exchange, by the way. And yeah, if you don't have your coin that you invented exchanged by any major exchange, then it might as well be dead because it's like if you have an account at Coinbase and Bitrex and neither one sells it or allows you to buy it, that might be a problem for you trying to invest in it. You'd either have to mine it yourself, buy it person to person, which always goes well, or, I don't know, go to some Sketchville, like, third-party tiny exchange. But this has already been adopted, it's well vetted, and people just think it's a good idea. It's just kind of sitting there not worth too much. Now, I gotta say, Siacoin made a huge spike around, like, the end of June 2017, and then just, like, crashed way back down to just about the same price it was before. And now it's on its way to, currently as of today, I don't know, about 40, 50, 60% the peak that it's ever been. So it has an upward trend, and I think that might just be people are like, bandwagoning. It's not like, oh, cool, let's use it as a storage thing immediately. But eventually it's going to take off. So super, super short term, you could probably make some money on it. Do note when I uploaded this video, because if you're watching this a month later, all this information might be completely wrong. Also, full disclosure, I own a lot, and I mean a lot of Siacoin. Like, you guys don't even know what I mean by a lot. Oh, and here's a fun fact. I said, oh, the price is going way up. Oh, cool. What is it? 1.5 cents. It's supposed to be really small and modular. That's the point. Like, if you were to say I'm mining Siacoin and that's what I'm going to be mining, you could generate a lot, like thousands and thousands in a month. With like a really, really good mining ASIC, it would probably still take you like 40,000 days or something to mine like 1 Bitcoin. So this is designed different because, it's meant to be like a smaller coin, I guess you would say. But keep in mind, it's kind of got that penny stock thing, but with the confidence of like a really useful invention. So if these hit 25 cents, I mean, holy crap, that's like some amount, like 20 to 1 or something, some huge ratio, 2,000% increase. Okay, closer to like 16x, but still, that's pretty good. If you invested 100 in it and got 1,600 out, 1,500 profit, that's not bad. So short-term, mid-term, and long-term, Siacoin. I mean, that's like my number one choice. Now the other one, and I will, full disclosure this as well, it's Iota, and I just heard about it yesterday. So there's that. They also haven't really been picked up by a major exchange, which, I mean, that means you could, if you could find a place to buy it or mine it yourself, you could get it pretty low. The second it's picked up by a major exchange like Bitrex, it will probably get, spiked pretty good. Somehow I made that sound bad. I mean, the price will go up. What's the key about Iota? Why is it better than Bitcoin? I have no idea how this works. I read the math and the theory, and this is so far over my head, I think they might have invented that type of math after I got out of college. But basically, it doesn't use a blockchain. Yeah, I don't get it either. Remember, the blockchain is the technology driving Bitcoin, and it's like the database of all transactions that have ever happened, and that's how you verify whether or not somebody owns Bitcoins and if they can send them to somebody else. It's something about it like a calculated on the fly mesh, whatever, but yeah, not having a giant 150 gig blockchain is pretty nice. I say ditch the blockchain. This is like the best invention ever. So yeah, I mean, that just sounds great. I mean, I think it's so new that it's going to take a while to catch on, but if it even catches on a little bit, you could buy it so low right now that it's not a bad idea. Now, low is a relative term. I mean, at the time of this video being made, and keep in mind it's fluctuating like crazy, it's about $3.60 per Iota coin or whatever they're calling it. But in early November, it was about 30 to 35 cents. So a little bit of an increase there. 10 to 1. So obviously people are like, yeah, this is brilliant. It's going to take off. And it's not even just like, yes, I'm going to adopt it and use it immediately. I can't wait till, Amazon.com starts accepting Iota. It's more the reputation feeding on the reputation. People are agreeing that, yes, this is smart, this is good, it will eventually take off. And then in the short to midterm, that is driving up the price because it's just, investor and consumer confidence. So in case you haven't caught the point here, the number one problem with Bitcoin is that only about 4,000 transactions can happen per 10 minutes. That's all that fit. Iota doesn't have a blockchain. So theoretically, there should be no limit of the amount of transactions that can be processed at any given time. That is huge. So that's where the inherent value and inherent usefulness in Iota is. So now, if I left out a coin that you guys are like, this is amazing, like even Namecoin, that's kind of neat. I didn't cover it because honestly, I don't quite remember how it works because I learned about it like 5 years ago. Like that one's pretty neat. It had an intrinsic value to it. And I think there's like one where the calculations are actually productive. They're built on like a protein folding proof of work. So they're trying to cure cancer with it. So I mean, there's some merit-worthy ones that you're like, yeah, I could see people getting into that. But then if they've been around for 5 years and they haven't gone up, then okay, maybe people aren't going to get into it. But if there is some intrinsically valuable, really well-performing or really good outlook kind of coins that you guys think you'd like to plug, leave them down in the comment section. I think you'd probably have to disclose if you have a vested interest in it. So if you're the owner trying to plug your own coin, you gotta say so, bro. That's jail time at the FTC. You don't want to violate that particular law. So if I had to rank them, I'd say Saya and Litecoin are tied for drastically different reasons. Saya is just so cheap right now. You could buy a ton of it, and it has the best outlook. But Litecoin has the best market respect. And honestly, Bitcoin Cash is almost tied with it. I mean, Litecoin, a block is solved every 2.5 minutes, so your transactions get confirmed faster. So it has an advantage over Bitcoin Cash, which is a glorified clone of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin Cash also starts with the word Bitcoin. So it's almost like a three-way tie, but I'd say Saya takes the slight lead because it's short, mid, and long-term, the best percentage return, potentially. Now, then again, if you're looking at risk, I think, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are the least likely to go down. And then Zcash, I mean, it's more of a long shot because it's like you never know when it's really going to take off when people are like, yeah, I need to be anonymous, and more people are accepting Zcash for payments or more exchanges are taking it or whatever. I mean, it could be years before that happens. Who knows? It's a good idea. It's time that's the factor. So definitely second rate as far as, return quickly, let's make a lot of money real quick, but it's still good. I mean, it's fantastic as a coin design. And also keep in mind, it is going up drastically lately. Now, a lot of these tend to follow the price of Bitcoin, so if it goes up, they go up, but not always. Sometimes the usefulness of the coin is the most important factor. In fact, pretty much always that's the most important factor. That's the difference between a penny coin and a $300 coin. It just is. So hopefully this extensive background information helps you out a lot. I didn't just want to say, here, these are good, invest in them without establishing the information. So sorry about the long video, but if you're not willing to watch like a 30-minute video before investing thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars or whatever into Bitcoins, then you're setting yourself up for some issues. I didn't even get into Bitcoins until 3 days of learning about it, and I mean 3 days. It was like hours of just reading how the math works, the code works, investigating the people who allegedly originated it, looking up how mining works, everything, and I'm like, yeah, okay, before I jumped into it with even like $1. And I might as well close with this because I know people are going to ask because they're too lazy to watch the video. In 2011, I believe it was, I owned 30,000 Litecoins and 95 Bitcoins. Oops. Hashtag oops. Hashtag crippling depression. But hopefully you guys won't make the same mistakes I did. I would jump into one of the ones I recommended. If you can afford to lose the money because these could crash at any time, anything could happen. Don't risk more than you can afford. And don't say, but can I afford to miss out? Yes, you can. You probably have a job, you have steady income, and if you don't, oh my god, then you really shouldn't be investing in Bitcoin. Okay, you get it. Enough disclaimers. Thanks for watching. Leave any questions down in the comment section below. I will personally answer them. Oh, and check out the link to Coinbase in the description. It is a referral link, so if you click on it, we both make a little bit of money off it. Hey, the FTC wants me to disclose that too. But here's the thing, okay? If you buy $100 or more of digital currency of any type on Coinbase, then you get $10 in free Bitcoin, and so do I. So that's a 10% return for doing nothing. That's a good way to start. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to get into Bitcoin investing, or some people just call it speculation, whatever. A free guaranteed 10% return. I mean, come on, guys. Coinbase is basically the most respected, almost like longest running, probably the biggest exchange in the world. Or I should say online wallet host. I think of them and GDAX as the same company because as far as I know, they are. So check out that link. Get yourself an awesome deal. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next video.